All right, episode 117. Homes are more affordable than they ever were. We're going to get started right now. Fight me.
Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Forrest. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
All right, episode 117. Today we are going to talk about how real estate is actually more affordable than it's ever been before. But before we go down that rabbit hole, if this is your first time listening to this show, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening wherever you're consuming this content. But go over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. Get rid of that trash can. What was that? Lunchbox, right? That lunchbox. Get rid of that shit. And go over to our Facebook group, the only real estate group worth being a part of. Subscribe, request access, come share, tell us where you're from, where you're getting business, and if you really think that homes are more affordable or they're more expensive, right? And support our sponsors. If you're looking to expand your hiring, like if you want to get more leverage in your world, go talk with Justin Nelson over at Sphere Rocket VA. Go to sphererocketva.com. He is the man that will hook you up with the virtual systems world. It works for all of us. And on average, I think they're about $3.50, $4 an hour. Fucking huge, right? Then our boy, Michael DeBacker, mortgagemikeoftexas.com. If you're looking for a loan officer here in Texas, go support him. Go reach out to him. Go set a coffee, Zoom meeting with him. He's sick right now. So
no, he didn't get to come to team meeting yesterday. He was under the weather.
Yep. So
we have to ask this now. Regular?
No.
Sickness?
It's like
I'm calling it Rona, but
it's like they do in sports, like when they say like non-sports injury or something. Like
like how they have Tom Brady listed every game when he was on the Patriots.
Yeah. So I think this is a non-COVID illness. That's what we have to call it. I think
he's on the physically unable to perform list at the moment.
It's funny because like back in the even 2 years ago, somebody like, oh, he's sick, and it's like, oh, what's wrong with him? Right now, it's like, it's not what's wrong with him. It's like, just does he have this thing?
Yeah.
No? All right. I don't really give a shit
with
then.
The assumption that he definitely does.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't? He's probably not vaccinated.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
It is. I'm going to tell you right now, that rabbit hole, if you tuned in the last week, we didn't do an episode.
Yeah, we were short and sweet last week.
We shared out, our friend Jason Harriman, who passed away from COVID. But if you go look at, we've got some other friends in the business that
I'm gonna walk behind Nick again. This water bottles in the shutter drive me crazy. I gotta take care of it.
Gosh, whom has COVID, and the people just completely will just bombard the comments, be like, vaccinated.
It is
immediately.
I didn't like seeing that.
Yeah,
too. And that's not the first time I've seen that too. But they did it in that particular. I don't mean to pry, but was he vaccinated? It's like, what is your fucking problem,
it's
dude?
Because, and here's the thing is, and then we will leave this alone because now we are starting week 3 of this shit on the show.
Yeah.
Right. But like, if your natural inclination is to ask a question like that, you're a fucking gossip and I don't like you. Yeah. I will just tell you that right now. Why don't you
tell me about his medical history, this stranger?
Why don't you just say condolences to the family and leave your crap on the sideline?
And donate some money. Go last week's show. You can go to the GoFundMe. If you are financially able, go donate some money to that family. Help out the wife and 2 children there. But Brian and I were talking about this episode. Actually, we did prepare for this one.
We did prepare for
last
this one.
night.
I don't want to interrupt, babe, because I feel like I'm not going to be able to come back to this later. And I wanted to talk about this on the show because we usually do a little bit of just bullshitting around at the beginning. And I forgot to share this before. Fun fact, I am meeting Matt Kelderman's mother tonight for the first time in my life.
Yeah. Deborah's very excited about this.
Because he hangs out with my parents all the time.
Yeah.
His dad's kicked my ass.
Where are y'all going?
We're going to go to the old Hillstone in University Park.
All right.
Yeah.
You know,
All right.
so those of you who are in other places, if you know of Houston's, we have many of them here. And
Yeah.
I worked there for over a decade, and it's my favorite place to take people.
That'd be fun.
So I'm super excited to meet
Yeah, we
Deborah.
had to move a meeting around in order to
accommodate
This
that.
is
Yeah,
totally-
he knew about it. So
And she will be watching this because literally she texts me like after every show. She texts not a critique necessarily, but just whatever. She's like, "Boy, Brian was real talkative today."
She's like,
yeah,
hey, let's Brian.
"Yeah." She's just like, she knows what's going on every show. I'm like, I don't even pay that much attention. I'm on this thing.
So I'm meeting his mother tonight, and I'm brushing up on my conversation because this is going to drive Matt crazy. I'm reading. This is a gift from the lovely Joanna Rodriguez, one of our business partners. I'm reading Homodeus. It's about how we're all going to turn into robots, and Kelderman hates that idea.
It won't drive me crazy. That's a very large book to read. That's more taxing
This is-
than I would rather have the world be taken over by robots than
I
read a
don't
book
think we're
that
gonna
big.
He's trying to play it
into
cool.
robots, but,
Matt,
I mean-
Matt will not admit this freely. He is terrified of us turning into robots. He hates the
You're
idea.
terrified of robots or turning into one.
I get
whole
immediately angered by the frustration that it could happen in the first place, and I just want to fight people.
I mean, how take me down.
We can't
give me
even-
the 60
listen,
seconds
we
of
cannot
give me
even-
60 seconds of how we turn into a robot.
And look, I will tell you this because I see so many people, but the reality is we cannot figure out, like, we're just now getting to the point where, like, we can take somebody who's lost an arm and turn that arm into something that even does anything. And we're talking about, like, whole human thinking robots. Like, we're trying to figure out how to not to smush an egg
I'll give you the 10-second
with some of that
version,
stuff.
right? With the last thing you would replace is the brain. We already have artificial limbs and things like that. It's harder to create artificial intelligence than human intelligence. So it would be more difficult to create robots that were as smart as humans than to just turn humans into robots slowly over time through medical advancements. That's what's happening.
I
But if
disagree with that because
if you mate with a robot,
oh yeah, they're
then-
going to be
then
able
this
to
this isn't
make-
Greek
yeah,
mythology. It's not like my issue is I feel like artificial intelligence is already there because every Wednesday Siri knows when I get in my car at 1:00 I'm going to Casa Mama's to have margaritas before the show, and it
and
always tells me
you're pissed when she suggests it and you can't do it.
no. She suggests it. She's like like I got in the car today. She's like Casa Mama's is 3 minutes away, and I was like, how do you know every Wednesday at 1 I go kill an hour and a half? At
There was a
Casa
time when I
Mama's?
would get in my car and it would tell me how far it was to Cairo hookah bar, and that's when I was like, we got to make some changes,
Yeah.
Brian. And I never looked back after that. So
How do you know we aren't robots already?
that's an
And we're just
interesting
not aware
topic
of
of
that.
conversation that I've approached. Oh, see, thank you for the question, Theron. How would you know? And this could be an entirely separate podcast episode that I think we could really dive deep on
I'm-
this. But there's
I'm sure we
pretty
would have
compelling
the most,
arguments
probably
to be
the most
made.
viewers tuning in on that.
We have a 3-part series already done on this. It's called The Matrix. That's how it works. Like we've already answered this question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't know. Some people might know. If you're one of the people who doesn't know, nothing changes. It's fine. Right. That's it. Game over.
I like that. I like that.
You just,
idea.
I've never really watched The Matrix, so you just ruined it. For
That's
me.
pretty badass.
Would
but
it
I did just
be-
sum it up in about 2 seconds for you.
If you knew that everything you were doing in your life was entirely meaningless in the entire arena of existence,
Mhm.
would that be empowering or disabling to you?
Probably empowering.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I
I'd
think
be
I'd be
like-
so scared shitless of what other crazy people would do that I'd just be like, no, I'm good.
I think I think it's freeing.
Yeah.
The
Right?
only robot podcast worth listening to.
There's a Sia song called "Floating Through Space." You should listen to it. It's-
She's the one who has the hair. Like she covers her face all the time.
Yeah.
She has hair.
She does have hair, but
She does
I
have
think
hair.
she is one of the ones that you don't
Yeah.
get to see her face a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
That's a whole. That's a
How
whole
do you
brand.
hide? This show is off the rails already, so let's just keep it going. How are you like a celebrity who just people don't know what you look like? Like, how do you hide that for? Like, how'd that marshmallow head guy do that for that DJ?
The marshmallow head guy. You mean Dead Mouse?
Yeah, whatever, man. Like, how
He
that
wasn't
guy?
a marshmallow. It was a mouse.
Like, do we know who Banksy is yet? Like, how are we not figuring this shit
No,
out?
no, didn't
I
he-
could dive
I think
deep.
he's come out on that, hasn't
That's
he?
no. He's
doing
isn't
bits with
anybody.
people
Is that
Guys,
the, is
I'm
that
gonna
the
tell
real
you
Banksy? Or
right
is it
now?
not?
I don't know. That's a front.
Is Banksy the
Banksy
Illuminati?
is not one person, and I can't prove it, but I can do some stuff on my computer to make a pretty compelling argument right now.
I saw a YouTube video.
It'll
That
take a
shit's
while. I
realistic.
wasn't prepared to talk about Banksy on the show today, so I'd have to pull some stuff up. I don't think Banksy's one person.
I think that makes more
I
sense
think
than
Banksy
he is
is
one
a
person.
style. I think he's a small collaborative of artists.
I don't mind that at all. Oh, there's Marshmallow Head guy.
Oh, I was thinking of Dead Mouse.
Oh, look,
there
and then
is
I
a
see-
marshmallow guy.
Oh, and then I see his face in the third picture there. Jesse showed
how
us
would it
something
go
off camera
if you branded yourself as a real estate agent that way, and you showed every property, every listing?
I just wore like a house thing on my head.
Yes.
You wore
With, like,
the
eyes cut
You
out
wore
and
the fucking thing from
windows were
X-Men.
like my
No,
eyeballs.
you were like the guy who's Cyclops from X-Men, and you fucking wore
Yeah.
that thing that covered your eyes.
I think that'd be
everywhere.
great. I think it'd be better for me if I couldn't talk. If that was
You just sign
Yes, yeah.
you just sign
That's-
paperwork, right? You just sign
Yeah, that is
paperwork
okay.
over.
Yeah, they decided
Yeah,
to say
he's
it
like-
was-
He's done it really well, though.
Yeah.
I still don't know what Dead Mouse looks like.
I don't know.
But
Oh,
there
he
is
right there,
a
not
so
excited.
I'm joking around with this, but there's a guy in Arizona in Arthur's getting married on Friday, so he's not probably listening to
shout
this.
out, Arthur.
But it's this guy who is all tatted up. He's in Arizona. You may have seen this guy, right?
Okay.
He's kind of branded himself as the tattoo realtor.
All right.
And I've gone to Arthur. Arthur has his DJ equipment set up in the office.
Nice.
And I said,
Arthur's like spins?
yes.
Okay.
And so I
Is
said, dude,
that still the slang? Do we say
Plays
that they
basketball at the Y too. Arthur has a
He
bunch
does?
of stuff. I'm just
Yeah.
spin? It doesn't look like he does any of that,
I'll
but
tell
that's
you,
awesome.
Arthur can throw some buckets down.
Dude,
Really?
I don't want to get in a shooting contest with Arthur. I bet
Oh,
you in a
yeah.
one-on-one game, Arthur would maybe look like a jackass.
Arthur's probably
Yeah.
he gets on the
Yeah.
court and all of a sudden he's just like the professor.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, look, you really are infatuated with this tattooed realtor guy. Why don't you become the DJ realtor and you just DJ at every open house, or you just carry it like you have this mobile DJ thing, like it's a sling over you, like like you can walk down the street,
like
with
it's
it.
like one of those accordion things.
Yes.
It's a DJ thing.
Yes.
instead.
you
And he's just
imagine him
spinning.
going from showing to showing, having to pack his tables up every fucking time he goes to show a new house.
He'd look like a musician on Deep Ellum at 6 p.m. getting
Yes.
ready to go in the club. You just have to pull a van up out front, start unloading his shit in the
But-
house.
Gotta get there 2 hours early.
But and then eventually he has someone open for him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you gotta
Yeah,
have exactly have
yeah.
an opening act,
Yeah,
bro.
opening act.
New agents could do their bid at his
Yes.
open houses.
I mean, from a branding perspective, would that work?
Look, I think anything that you niche in on is pretty good. I would commented. I'll throw it out there because it's a public post. I think Fred Weaver at EXP put a pretty snazzy post up yesterday, throwing some heat at some people. And there's all these people arguing in the comment section about it.
Yeah,
what
what
were
was
they
it?
talking about?
The comment was very much about GK's stance on its vaccination
yes, the
comment.
vaccination, yeah.
Oh,
Eli Torres threw one out there.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So and it was
Oh.
fine, whatever, right? I didn't care about it. But the genius of the post was the fact that like Fred just threw it out there and stopped responding to people.
That's
And that
the
post
best
has still
way.
got a couple hundred comments because everybody's just arguing with themselves
Yeah.
and giving him all kind of free PR.
Do you ever see those comment wars where you forget who the original poster even was?
Yeah, they're gone, bro.
Yeah.
They're gone. So I say all that to say, Arthur, everybody may not be attracted to the DJ bit, but the people who are going to be all in on
They're
that
gonna
shit.
be.
So run with
Absolutely.
it.
I would say, own it, and I support it. By the
I
way.
think it's
I support
fantastic.
it. I
It's
like-
honestly one of the best open house bits I've heard in a long time.
yeah, you just go live the whole time. You DJ there. You get snacks.
Yeah.
Right.
You want
And-
to talk about a profession that's going to get replaced by robots?
No, robots can't.
The problem is the music's already robot music.
That's what I'm saying. I guess
But it's humans controlling the robot music.
okay,
So,
okay.
We're still winning.
You're
We're
safe.
still,
We're still winning.
we can unplug it at any time.
But
I'll stop.
so this essentially the
What are we doing here?
We-
Get it back in, I guess.
yeah let's we'll wrangle it in. Look, I mean these are usually fun shows anyway, at least for us.
Oh my god.
But the thought process around today's show is homes are more affordable,
Sure.
right? And I was doing a training today. We had about 20, 25 agents at our training event this morning. And I asked them, I said, do you think homes are more affordable today or were they more affordable in the past?
Sure.
Everybody said, oh, they're more affordable today. I said,
They said that. Really?
yes.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay.
Is that one of the things where they just knew was a trick question, so they said
I'm-
the
I'm-
opposite?
exact
yes.
answer.
Well, I'm like, and I.
Well,
and
I
was gonna
thought the
say
only
that.
person who did that. I'm like, I know what the hell you're asking
Yes.
me right now. I'm going to say the other thing.
So I'm going to get it right.
Exactly.
But I said, well, if that's the case, our consumers aren't buying that shit
Right.
because they're telling us when we call them, no, I'm going to wait. I'm waiting for the price to drop.
Right.
Shit's overpriced.
Right.
It's inflated. Just trust me. Wait 6 months, and that $400,000 house is going to be worth $50,000.
Yep.
I'm like, where are you? First off, where are you
That's
getting
where-
that
that's
number
the
from?
line.
And why
right?
why are you rooting for that?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
you understand you live in the community that you want this to happen in.
Yes. Right,
exactly.
Do you understand the economic tumbling that this country would take if housing prices went from 400 to
I
even
want-
300,000 in the
I want-
span?
Unemployment to skyrocket. I want hyperinflation, and I want housing prices to melt.
It's a stupid ass thing to
This
root
is the
for.
world I want to live in.
Dude, but here's the thing. That's what everyone does. It's the same thing that people just like.
Because they think it's
the
only
fucking-
happening to them.
No, it's just like the presidential election. Like, I hope this president fails. So you want them to fail this country that we all live in.
Shouldn't we always all be rooting for the
Yes.
guy to succeed, right?
Yes.
Even if, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're
Yes.
like, I hope this whole country falls apart just so I can go back to Facebook and say I
We
was
just,
right.
we just take a college football mentality into our politics, and we're just like, fuck Oklahoma.
Yes.
Hope he blows his knee out. And you're like, why are you?
Yes.
I play here too, bro.
Yes.
Why are they always getting away with holding? It's only them.
Yes. But the consumers are telling us they're wanting to wait because they feel that housing price is out of control and it's not as affordable as it was back in the good old days.
Right.
Sure.
Right? And in reality, that is not true.
No.
It's actually homes are more affordable today than they were 25 years ago. And there's looking at some of the stats, even compared to 5 years ago, they're about the same.
Oh, you
Right.
got a way better resource than my jank ass thing on my computer. I have a stagnant spreadsheet. You got a graph that moves around. This is very cool.
I will tell you, I'm excited about this conversation today. One, because I haven't had it before with you guys. Like, but most importantly, like I will tell you, I'm on the side of the fence where I need to understand the numbers of this because it doesn't make sense to me. So for those of you who are like, these guys are full of shit, trust me. Like, I know they're not because I trust these guys, but also like this is confusing to me as well how this would be possible.
So can you, Jesse, because I want to get my numbers right, can you hit max there on the graph and let's just see like historical averages? So let's first talk about this. What does housing affordability mean? Oh, this is just between this year and last year. Man,
It says
who
it
is
goes back to
documenting
91.
these things?
It says your
Okay.
trusted data source since 91.
Yeah, do max. Is it won't let you do further back than okay. Well, I got the spreadsheet here. So let's talk about first how affordability is calculated, right? Affordability is not just how expensive homes are, right? Price is relative to a lot of other variables. I would say the two most important variables, right? If you're going to purchase any large asset and you're going to borrow money to do it, is how much money are you making and at what rate are you borrowing money, right? So when I buy a home, so let's right now, end of Q2 2021, so end of June, beginning of July, median price for existing single family homes in the United States is $357,900. Okay, so that is up. Let's just take my chart goes all the way back to 2018. We could go back way far. Well, Jesse just pulls up some real sexy stuff. We could go all the way back to 2018, for example, right? So 2018, the median price for an existing single family home in the United States was $261,600. Okay, so it's almost $100,000 less 3 years ago. That's a huge jump. And if I'm buying that home, very few people are putting down 20% anymore. Usually if I'm buying even a first home, I'm going to go FHA, that's 3.5%, or conventionals mostly between 5 and 10%. So I'm borrowing, at minimum, I'm usually borrowing 90% of the money from the bank. And I'm paying mostly interest for the first 15 years of that loan because the bank is going to charge me interest. I'm paying very little principal. So the money, the interest rate becomes an incredibly large factor in housing affordability. Mm-hmm. So average interest rate in 2018 was 4.72 according to NAR. Average mortgage rate at the end of Q2 2021 is 3.05 according to NAR. So that's a full 1.67% less in interest, which is mostly what I'm essentially borrowing the house from the bank for the first few years of my loan. And so whatever rate I'm paying to borrow that house from the bank is a huge factor in whether or not the house is affordable to me. So since rates have come down, homes have become, that's one variable in making homes more affordable. The other is how much money I make, right? If I make more money, like we don't talk about this with any other asset, right? I used this in team meeting yesterday. I was like, yeah, candy bars cost more than they did 25 years ago too. But we don't talk about how expensive they are, right? Like it's a natural part of a society based on a fiat currency where inflation happens every year, right? Like things tend to cost more. And if our economy is working properly, people should make more money over time too. So you have to take a lot of variables into consideration. So the median family income has risen. I'm going back to 2018 again. Median family income has risen $12,000 per year since 2018. So home prices have gone up $100,000. The median home price has gone up $100,000, but the interest rates have come down and the median family income has gone up. And so what that means, that calculates your qualifying incomes. The qualifying income is essentially the money that I would need to make to qualify for this loan. So at the end of Q2, end of June, beginning of July 2021, median family income in the United States was $88,515. That's up from $76,401 same time in 2018. So that's $12,000 more dollars. And the qualifying income to purchase this $357,000 home is $58,314. And the qualifying income is based off how much money you make, how expensive the house is, and then what the interest rate is as well. If you have really high interest rates, your qualifying income is going to have to be higher because you're paying more interest, right? So that's where you get housing affordability. Housing affordability is essentially the difference between the qualifying income and the median family income in relation to interest rates as well and median sales price or median home price, right? So it's essentially the spread between what you need to qualify for a loan and how much money you actually make, and then interest rates, because how much money you're actually paying the bank and how much money are you paying for the actual house itself. And that gives you a composite. Right now, oh, here we go. This is perfect. So this was the other one, from NAR as well. I did the other one, which is the shorter one. Composite affordability index at the end of Q2 was 151.8, as compared to the same time in 2018 was 146.3. So even though homes cost $100,000 more, on average, it's more affordable to buy a home right now than it was in 2018.
But here's the thing: in order to break it down in layman's term, what people don't understand, they too oftentimes they look at the end sales price, right? And unless you're paying cash, just straight up cash for the house,
sure,
you have a monthly payment,
right?
This is like Matt just bought an Escalade.
I did.
Escalade.
Did you pay cash for that?
I did not.
Did you, when looking at that, were you more concerned about the price or more looking at what the monthly payment was going to be?
It definitely came down to monthly payment when I was working it out. Yeah.
Right. So there's two ways to keep your monthly payment within a range that you felt comfortable with, right? First is the price.
Right.
Sure. Second would be the rate that you got for the vehicle loan. Right. And so right now, the way that we look at this and why it's more affordable than it was 25 years ago, right, is because we are making more income and the interest rate is lower.
Yes.
So Black Knight, who does a lot of this reporting, talked about, based on today's income and home price levels, 30-year rates rising to 3.5% would push the payment to income ratio to 21.9%. 4% would take it to 23.2%. 4.5% would drive it to 24.7%. And what we really need to look at on the affordability index, as long as rates stay low, then the income to monthly payment ratio makes buying a house today more affordable than it was 25 years ago, 20 years ago. And from 5 years ago, we're just a 0.5% more expensive.
So I can actually speak to this. This is perfect. I just pulled this up here. You guys want to take a guess at what the average 30-year rate was in August of 1996, 25 years ago?
It was probably 8.5%.
8.25%.
I was going to say 7 something, but
8.25%. Can you imagine if we had 8? Like, people would mutiny.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people already get annoyed when their interest rate starts with a 4.
Yeah.
Like, that's not outrageous, right? In the grand scheme of things, that's not bad. Honestly, a 5 isn't that bad, right? Like, but we've just been conditioned now over these past whatever years.
So there's two things that we need to do as agents. One, we have to understand, because I guarantee you we have 9 people watching this live right now.
Okay.
And you want to know why? Because it's not sexy.
No,
boring.
It's fucking boring. And Brian and I just spitting off those numbers, even I glaze over even reading it.
Yeah.
But you want to be the expert. You want people to buy. You don't want them to say, you want to have a counter back, because There's a lot of dumb agents out there. They're like, "Yep, just wait 6 months."
Yeah.
Like by the way, they're commenting on my Facebook ads. Trust me, wait 6. Don't buy now. Wait 6 months. And I'm like,
trust me, the person you don't know.
Yeah.
Just trust
right?
me.
And how do you counter back to a buyer who says, "Hey, Brian, hey, Matt, I do want to buy, but I'm going to wait 6. I'm going to wait 3 months. I want shit. Prices are too high right now."
That's the thing. I know this is like boring stuff and your eyes are glazing over with just stats, but we're empowering you to have better conversations and actually convert at a higher rate. Like, you can find people that are going to throw that objection out literally all over the place right now. They're dime a dozen.
By the way, they were throwing that out in 2016,
They've been throwing it out. That's what they
Anytime
do.
prices go up, that's the bid.
They were throwing that out in 2010 when prices were going down and going down.
And then going down.
Yeah.
Until it hits
When
bottom.
prices were going down, why didn't they want to buy? Oh, real estate sucks right now. Who would buy a house right now?
Yes.
Like, it's the same fucking people
Yep.
that are waiting for the crash. When it does come around, they're like, I'm not buying real estate right now. The whole thing's collapsing. And it's like, bro, what are you even? But that's exactly, I understand we're just doing a nerd out session today, but like, this is, you can pick up the phone and find a million people who wish they could buy a house right now, but they're waiting for prices to come down. If you don't know some of these stats and some of these facts, like, what objection handler do you have?
So how do we make it sexy?
Man, you're going to have a tough sell with me because I already think this stuff's pretty sexy. I like this.
Yeah, it's
Matt,
somebody-
how
yeah.
do we make this?
Well, one, I think part of it is being, like you guys hit on it a little bit already, like being able to have this conversation at a high level is really where most agents fail. They default to going to the comment section and default to telling people to wait 3 to 6 months because they don't really have an answer, and they're just regurgitating nonsense, right? I will say for my buyers, there's 2 things happening. One, you need to understand what your buyer's goals are at a super high level to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. The only way to have this conversation with somebody is to retrofit it to their actual conversation. So if I'm talking to you, Nick, and I know that there's some sort of financial reason you're moving or you want to get out of renting or you want to do all these things, I'm going to tailor this conversation to whatever your ultimate goals are, right? If you all of a sudden tell me like, hey, Matt, what is rent for another year? Well, that's definitely dumber than buying a house just from a straight pissing away your money standpoint, right? Like, even if it's somebody who's trying to figure out if they're going to sell and buy, I find that to be the easiest conversation of all, right? Like, if somebody's really interested in making as much money as possible for their house, we can sit down and have a logical conversation why you don't really get to pick the fact that you make a ton of money on your house, but then you buy the house at a cheaper price.
Sure.
There is just a trade-off in this. Yes. If I make you an extra $100,000 on your house and then you want to move to Southlake for a bigger lot, don't count that $100,000 in your bank account. You're probably going to hand it to the next seller and just move it on down the road, right?
And which is fine.
And that's okay.
Because you're getting a 3.25 or 3%
Yes.
rate.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
And your
3.5,
payments staying the same to move
Yes.
up a half an acre and 2,000 square feet.
or
So
your
whatever.
payment goes up by $150,
Which is totally manageable
for a much higher, much more upgraded, much more luxurious property, and it fits your needs. So in my world, like, we have a kid on the way. I need more space.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna at first I did have that normal rejection, like, no, price is too high. But then I'm like, wait, if I stay in this house, my payment's X. If I were to add on to my house, it's going to cost me money. So my payment's going to be Y. If I actually go buy a house, the payment Z is only like $200 or $300 more a month if I were to add on to my house. So why don't I just sell my house, go get a bigger one?
Right, that you're leveraging
from that, right?
You're
And
leveraging
so
a more expensive property.
people don't look at it in a logical manner because we all do this. We all look at the end sticker price, saying, I don't want to spend $900,000. Well,
it's so true. Here's the reason that it's so important to know this stuff is because the voyeurism that makes people get on the Zillow app and just look at houses like I do, right? Like, especially when I'm traveling, dude. I'm like, in Chicago, I'm like, how much does this fucking place cost, right? Like, we do it.
We do that when we're in New York in May.
100%, dude.
I'm literally staying in the exact same spot in November when I go up there for the Sirhan thing. Which, by the way, if nobody caught on to that, my question, I was trying to get answers from you guys. But I'm just staying in the same spot because that's not all I want to do. And I was looking at like, man, this place cost me a couple $100 a night. Like, how expensive is this place to actually buy, right? They just out of curiosity, right? Like, it's ridiculous.
Mortgage Mike coming in with a comment.
I like this. Might go from having PMI to no PMI down to I like that too.
Yeah, right. So Mortgage Mike just commented, he's like, you might be able to go from having PMI currently on your house to no PMI due to the large down payment coming from the equity sale of your home, right? So go to mortgagemikeoftexas.com if you want to have a loan officer who is very knowledgeable
dropping in the comments.
Yes. So
I love it.
Yep.
The reason that is, again, the reason that I say it's important to know these things to be able to have this conversation is because the voyeurism that people have where they want to look at houses all the time, they don't have that same viewpoint towards things like interest rates. Meaning, like, if I'm looking at houses, I'm pulling up my Zillow app all the time. When I'm sitting on my couch watching sitcoms, I'm just looking at houses because it's fun to look at houses. People do it. Everyone, millions and millions and millions of people a day use whatever app they use to look at houses. And then their influence is the price of houses, right? Millions and millions and millions of people today don't like pull up some app and just look at what the average interest rates are, right? Like, it's not sexy, it's not fun. And so they don't put the two together. They don't marry the two to actually make a logical decision. So if you don't understand how to have that conversation, or at least we just have we're
Jesse flipped the camera to me as I spilled it. No, we're screwed. Keep
no
going.
paper
I got
towels
paper
in
towels.
this
I know
room.
where they are.
Yeah. If you're just not you're not allowing your prospects to see both sides of the fence, because they're only going to seek out the one side that's the sexy side, and that is looking at houses. And then when they see raised sales prices, they're not looking at median income or interest rates or anything like that. So being equipped to have educated conversations is directly correlated with your bottom line, the bottom line of your business, right? So, like, again, I know that's why these things are boring, but if you're serious about building a real estate business, isn't it important that you really know what the hell you're doing?
And that is the problem that I have, is that people don't pour into this. Like, it is not, again, it's not fun. It's not sexy. And we have, I was chatting about this, even Brian and I were talking about this last night. Insert SD card.
You got to insert the SD card, bro.
So Brian and I
warp.
Yeah. Brian and I were talking about this last night, that, look, society's they want to go to a rental society.
Yes.
Right. Though we also complain about a wealth disparity going on.
Yes.
The fastest way to build wealth is through owning homes.
Yes.
Or your homesteaded property.
Undeniably. Even
Right?
better than selling drugs.
Yes. That's what Freakonomics says. Right.
That is actually.
They do talk about that.
Yeah, it is.
It's
a good reference.
Yeah. One of my favorite books.
It's very good.
So
You hit the nail on the head a little bit, though. And like this is what I said before, caveman spilled my drink all over everything, was like the reality is, like, the reason why, to answer Brian's question, the reason why this isn't sexy is because looking at pictures at homes on Zillow is easy. It's why we walk into listing appointments and tell sellers that if their pictures are shit, you're losing 50% of your opportunity, because if, for the most part, consumers are just looking at photos, right?
Yeah.
You throw interest rates in their face, you're forcing them to do math and all sort of stuff. And people just aren't interested, right? It's just not a fun thing to look at and to explore.
But until
scrolling through pictures is.
Yes, until they get down to making a decision, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, payment's too much.
Sure. Yeah.
And the final decision's always typically what the monthly payment's going to be.
Yes.
And the car industry has done really, really well with this. They never ask you how much do you want to spend. They say, what do you want your monthly payment to be? And that you want to talk about, actually, now that I break this down, now that this little light bulb moment I have, because I've shared this before, I did really well in the very beginning of my career, because I understood and took that from the car industry. Right. And I would tell people, I said, look, the sales price doesn't matter. I want to know, what do you want your monthly payment to be? Where would you feel comfortable? Where would it be too high? And then let's find somewhere in that middle ground, because usually where you want it to be and where it's too high is where we're going to end up. And let's go ahead and start looking at properties within that payment range so that we can make it work.
That's still not a terrible way to approach most people.
Yeah, with the way that interest rates are, that's probably the best way to handle that objection, that prices are too high.
Absolutely. And if you are a renter right now, we need to be having the discussion about how much is your net worth as a renter. Right now, the average homeowner has a 44 times greater net worth than that of a renter.
And here's the thing is your average net worth as a renter, I'll tell you too, it's whatever you own, and the shit you own that ain't a house ain't going up in value. Your car, your couch, your bed, the things you typically own as a renter, they are depreciating assets, right? Like, so even if
except for right now, a car actually is going
a car might be right.
For right now,
a very short period of time.
I need to get that Ferrari I was talking about last
Let's
night.
go get one right now.
You buy it high. You buy it high.
I don't even think there's a dealership around there.
I'm doing the same thing we were just talking about. I'm like, no, you got to wait for the car market to crash.
I'm so far away from buying a Ferrari, I don't even know where to get one. Is there a dealership around here?
Oh my God, yeah.
Okay.
We can find one.
But my whole point being is like that whole thought process around buying a home and that renter mentality. Like, I know I used to do that. You think about your money and you'd be like, oh, I spent, like, let's just throw out a stupid number. I spent $5,000 on this couch. It's worth $5,000. No, it ain't.
No,
the second you see your dirty ass on it, that thing's worth $1,000. And nobody wants to buy it
because nobody wants to buy that shit.
And nobody buys it anyway. So your net worth truly is probably what you have in the bank.
Yes.
And that's about it.
Minus your debts.
Minus your debts, which again, probably aren't zero either.
So this would be, I don't know who verifies this shit. So we said median household income right now is $88,000 something dollars. So if we took on this chart, this is the $74,000 to $127,000 income range. The homeowner net worth is an average of $261,000 as compared to renter net worth, which is only $34,000.
Yep.
So that's a big difference,
and still higher than I would think. Right? Like, I will tell you, like, and this is all personal experience.
Actually higher than I would have.
But I mean, like, I will tell you, before I got into real estate and I was just doing my thing, living in an apartment in Addison, there was no way my net worth was $35,000. I mean, if anything, it was the other. I was probably negative $35,000.
And that is sad too, dude. Like, isn't it like this is the? I don't mean to get philosophical. This show already went off the rails earlier, so maybe it does again. But like, we live in the most prosperous country on earth, and people have so much opportunity to not just, but we also live in the most sensationalized economy on earth. Yeah. People just buy shit, dude.
Yeah.
They just buy
The economy
shit.
looks amazing because we're all just recycling our money right back into it.
And I've said this on the show before. Nobody's ever sent me my Gucci wallet, but or whatever it was that I was that I was saying I didn't want. But man, like, I believe it. I actually am surprised like you that it's even $34,000. I just know so many people that just spend money, dude. Fucking spend money on stuff.
Yeah.
I like to spend money on stuff.
I mean, we all do.
Dinner.
But us as real estate professionals, we need to get that message out.
Yes.
And again, we're not doing a great job at it. Thus the reason why the iBuyers, the hedge funds, the salaried agents, the discount agents, all of it starts to erode away. And why we talked about on episode probably 115, it probably was, where it was 80+% trusted Zillow over a real estate professional.
We talked about this, and I didn't like that statistic at all. And I didn't like it because it's like one of those things where it hits you because you're like, I hate that because I know it's true.
It is true. And I've been saying it for years. Like the reason if this podcast exists and the reason Brian and I do our classes and stuff, it's real, right? We're really coming from contribution. If I can empower a real estate agent to go out there and be better at their job, the odds of them defending us as professionals are higher, which means my income is at a lower degree of being assaulted by all of these other entities. So I really am giving you free game because I want you to go out there and enact it, and knowing that less than 10% of the people that I tell it to are going to even grasp it in the first place. Yeah, so it's like, it really is the right way to do it, whether you're skeptical or not. And the point of doing it is because I want you to go out there and be better selfishly. Stop screwing my shit up.
Be better for us, man.
Stop going out there and just being a discount agent because you don't know your value.
Because
right, like if discount is your business model, fine, that is fine. But if you are discounting strictly because you don't know how to have a conversation, please get out of my way.
It's super true. Right? What do you we talk? Like, I mean, we all are in all the Facebook groups and all that stuff. Like, Zillow's the boogeyman. We got to fight back. NAR sucks because they're not helping it, right?
Zillow.
But what is it? What is it that you think Zillow does all day? They're just a data factory. All Zillow does all day is try to find better ways to absorb more data to create a platform that is really user friendly. But I say that on a very fundamental level. Like Zillow craves, and this goes back to the Rich Barton podcast that we both listen to. Zillow craves information and craves data because the more data that it can get, the better product that it can make, right? But we don't take that same ideology towards our own businesses. Like if your eyes are glossing over when we're talking about housing affordability indexes, you're losing to Zillow already. They love shit like that. They love data.
It would be the same way, like if you go invest your money with a money manager,
Sure.
right? And that money manager, you interview 5 of them,
Yeah.
and that the money manager starts throwing out stats and where you should put this, and index funds and annuities and everything else, right? But you would connect with this other one because they're very personable, but they don't really know anything.
Yeah. But they're really nice.
Yes, but they're really nice. Yep. And they brought you cookies. And then all of a sudden,
that's so true.
And then all of a sudden you look up and your money's gone.
Fucking A, it
Or
is.
here's worse. Here's what we actually keep selling people, that they're going to know when their money is gone. You're not going to know. Here's the thing: as a consumer, you're not even going to know that agent was incompetent, because I will tell you right now, if you're just hiring an agent because they were nice to you, your thought process around your money isn't where it needs to be.
Yes.
And you're hiring an agent, you're never going to know where they cost you money, and neither are they. And guess what? Neither am I. Because I wasn't a party to the entire transaction. Watch where they trip and fell over themselves in negotiations, repair amendments, and God knows what other conversations they had that cost you money because they didn't know how to navigate that stuff. So we tell the consumer all the time, like, oh, this agent's going to cost you money. And it's impossible for us to articulate, because unless I'm a part of that exact situation, I can't show you where that agent effed you over. But I will tell you that not all inexperienced agents do this. And I'm not even saying it happens to every inexperienced agent on every transaction. But there is a price you pay for experience. And if you're just hiring somebody because they sent you cookies, that's great. I'm sure I've gotten business off doing stuff like that.
Sure.
And you're probably leaving money on the table that you'll never know you left on the table. You'll go tell your friends to hire them, right?
Yes.
And you should have got 630 instead of 620, and you just had no idea.
That's actually true, because I can vouch for both of you guys. I've seen you both talk to your clients, and I can say that you're professional before you're nice. I've seen both
100%.
Both of you guys in situations where you're not super nice to your clients. You're telling them things they need to hear.
Yeah. And I preempt it with, hey, look, I'm going to go out and back your play all day long on the other side of this fence.
Yeah.
But right now we're in your house with the doors closed, and I have to tell you, this is stupid, and you don't want to do that. Right? Like, this is just,
You know who does that? You do that really well, and Elizabeth does that really well.
I will go tell him, man. And I know Elizabeth, I'm sure she's exactly the same. I've never watched her negotiate, but I know we're very similar when it comes to this stuff. I am your confidant. You can tell me everything about this real estate transaction. Please tell me everything that you're feeling. It helps me to advise you. Yep. And I had the situation today. They came back to us with a $35,000 ask after going $35,000 over list price.
Fucking course they did.
Shocking. I went to my clients and said, hey, look, here's the deal. That offer was absurd to begin with. It was still $25,000 better than our last offer. At the very least, if we keep them at $25,000 from where they currently are, you are still making out like a bandit.
You're still in the black,
and coming in $10,000 over where you were even happy when we suggested our absurd list price, right? Do I have your permission to go and negotiate with you, knowing that this number of let's call it 360 is the number that we can't go below, right? And they were like, sure, go negotiate for us.
That's perfect,
right? And so I had free reign with essentially $25,000 to go and do my best for them.
Yep.
Right. And you only get that if you're having the type of conversations with people where they trust you around that. If I go back and I'm like, hey, they came back at this and they're asking for a lot of stuff, and I don't think you guys should do it because that's a bunch of money. Yeah. We were playing with funny money to begin with anyways. It was already an absurd offer. Yeah. We got them 10 to 15 grand more than they would have gotten in any scenario.
How many agents do we know like that are the ones that like, it's like, is their
they
fucking
call
house.
me and tell me
they're like offended at the ask, or like the negotiation becomes very personal. Like they're going to bat for the clients.
No, we don't like that.
Yeah.
Like you find yourself saying we, you're
like, who's
and,
we?
Right. And I get like sometimes it's, transactions get sideways and there's like really ridiculous asks or whatever, but like how he handled it, that's the perfect way to do it. Right. But like some agents get so emotionally attached to the deal where it's like, bro, you are hurting.
I've stolen it from Jerry Jones, and I say it to clients all the time. Do not let your money get mad. It just does not make any sense, dude. Just do not let your money get mad. And that's what I am here for. I had a client the other day. He's like, shouldn't I be offended by this offer? I was like, why would you be offended by an offer? Like, just don't take it.
Are you? What do you feel?
Just don't take it, right? Like, I don't know. Like, being offended about this is stupid.
Don't let your money get mad, bro.
Yeah.
That. Don't let your money get mad by sharing that money with Justin Nelson over at Sphere Rocket VA.
Look at this guy.
Right? SphereRocketVA.com. let's go leverage out. I'm about to knock this camera over. Let's go leverage out. Let's go get you some assistance there. Let's put some marketing pieces in play. And dude, they can do some cool ass shit. I'm going to tell you right now.
We all use them.
I'm built out my call center with it.
Yeah.
Right. So sphererocketva.com, and then Michael DeBacker, Mortgage Mike of Texas, who came in with some great knowledge today.
Oh yeah, man.
Maybe you can drop that PMI by selling your house, use that equity, go buy a new home, put more down payment down. Now you don't have PMI, lesser payment, cheaper interest rate, bigger home, more upgraded home. Maybe you don't have to worry about that old ass AC unit.
Hope you're feeling better, buddy.
Yep.
And your malaria's cleared up.
Your malaria.
Well, it's not COVID.
I know.
It's not COVID if you don't ever get tested.
That's
Jesse, we got to go.
Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. Then go to that one. Thanks.